This is Stover, the barbecue hunk. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Have a hunky day.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
And welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is a show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling, originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, as you see it behind me in its magnificent glory. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening's live fire fun and frivolity show. If you want to jump in tonight through phone calls or emails, here's how you do that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at bbqcentralshow.com or on the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter. Coming up in about 13 minutes from now, third Tuesday of the month, brings a monthly visit from barbecue icon, Barbecue Hall of Famer, Barbecue Central Show guest Hall of Famer, the most prolific live fire author ever to grace the writing stage, TV show host, cooking class instructor, and the list goes on. Steven Reichlin will once again join us. Notwithstanding that, we move to the 35 past the hour segment, and returning for his second debut on the show is fast food reviewer and expert Bill Oakley. Yes, Harvard grad, former Simpsons writer, and now finding himself in all sorts of new fame with this whole fast food review situation that he's got going on solely on Instagram, so follow him over there at that Bill Oakley. Then we will move to the second hour. It's a new quarter, of course. We know that. And in 2021, I have made an effort to bring in quarterly guests. And we have a new one here showing up for the second time. Is none other than the creator of the Hardcore Carnivore brand. And you can find her recipes at jesspriles.com. None other than Jess Priles will be joining me. And rounding out the show, if that is, I could call it a day right there in the evening off of Steven Reichlin, Bill Oakley, and Jess Priles. But no, I need to force feed you even more live fire content. We will go steak. We will go perfect steak talk with none other the man who is now a myth and perhaps even legend after pulling off a perfect steak core. Oh, I was doing so good in the open. After pulling off a perfect steak score on July 10th with what happens to be my birthday. Yes, the best day of the year. We will be joined by first-timer to the show, which I think continues to keep a streak of new guests showing up in successive weeks. I don't know if anybody's been keeping track. But the pitmaster of Wicked Pig Barbecue and now sole earner of perfect steak score in SCA, Matt Overson. You remember last name Overson? His sister Marissa Overson won the Worlds earlier in the year. We had her on. Battled through a little echo on my side, but we got through that. And now Matt finds himself on the show. And by the way, I have to say, as I was setting this up, Matt very generously offered up the fact that he's been a fan of the show for years and years. So I'm doubly excited to talk to somebody who has achieved perfection in competition, and then also having a very loyal Centralite be able to come on the show and take part on the whole other side of this deal. Not just a listener, That's all, folks. A participant and an expert on this side of the coin. It's Matt Overson. That's your show. Matt Overson, Jess Pryles, second hour. Bill Oakley, Steven Reichlin, second hour. You want to hit at me, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com or call 216-220-0966, although I know you won't. You can follow me socially on Instagram, Twitter. Man, it's like the first 4 minutes were effortless, and now it is a train wreck. The likes I can't get out of my own way from. You like that? I do? Thank you. I look amazing. A great background, isn't it? I know I'm trying to get over more, so the terminal tower is more there, but we'll have to. I don't want to retape it. I'm very lazy. But it's pretty neat, right? Looks good. Yeah. Where was I? Yes. Stumbling over my words and giving you social media information. For a live video feed of the show, you can go to Facebook and Twitch/BBQ Central Show, also on YouTube /RD Rempe. And don't forget, there is an ad-free podcast feed option if you are so inclined. In 2 different places, you become a patron over at the Patreon page, which is patreon.com/BBQ Central Show, or you can subscribe directly in the Apple Podcast app. For a small monthly fee, you can have all of the reads eliminated from the feed if you so desire, or just listen as you have these many decades. First and foremost, a lot of you have noticed it in Instant Chat. My wife was just down here talking about it, and let me move out of the way so you can bask in the glory of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland. If I can give you a tour of my favorite city, the most attractive destination across the nation, closest to me is the icon of the skyline, the massive skyline, as you see. This is called Terminal Tower. When I moved here to Cleveland, this was the only thing that was downtown that was over 20 stories, Terminal Tower. The top now has been outfitted with LED lights. It changes colors at random when the Cavs play home games. It goes wine and gold. It's a whole thing. It's got its own Twitter account. You can tweet at it and say, hey, can you make me these colors? And if you're lucky enough, it'll do it. So that's the Terminal Tower. This is the Key Tower right here. That's the tallest building in Cleveland, probably clocking in somewhere around 60 stories, maybe less, maybe a little bit more, but definitely not 100. That's the newest one to town. And then on the right there, that's the second major skyscraper that made it in. It's now the Huntington Bank. It used to be this Ohio building. Then it was the BP building. Down just underneath the BP building is none other than the Jack Casino parking lot, which you can see right there, and all the way over here to my right and your left. That's the new downtown post office right there. So there's Cleveland if you've never been. Quick jaunt through my city. Not necessarily the most striking skyline, but as Meathead took me to task last week and said, why do you not have a skyline of Cleveland? You're very pro-Cleveland. I'm from Cleveland, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, barbecue capital of the North Coast. Luckily, I'd already had it in the works. But when you search Amazon for background of Cleveland, Dick comes up. I mean, not... I'm being facetious, of course, but there aren't a lot of options. Perhaps I should say it that way. So I found Matt Sexton, who's a local photographer here in Cleveland, and there was this picture in his collection, and I said, I think that might be it. So we put together a contract, and he printed it off on a nice vinyl banner, and up it went, sitting on top of my poured concrete basement wall. So I'm very excited to fully now represent. Instead of people going, you're from Cleveland, but you have a Manhattan skyline? Yeah, I mean, Manhattan skyline is legendary. And it holds a lot of cachet, and there's a very loose tie back to me just from the state of New York, definitely not New York City. So now to have Cleveland here, very happy. Feedback from the show over subsequent weeks, Dennis in Colorado referencing the Smoked Barbecue Source interview. Across the globe, the Barbecue Central show's got your live coverage halfway across the planet, in this case, of informational quality. All Joe needs is a great mic. Dennis, thank you for writing it. In Joe's defense, he actually did buy quite a substantial microphone, but as we were sound checking, there was an incredible low-end hum that we couldn't figure out, so we decided to forego that, and you heard what he did. It was perfectly suitable, but I feel bad because he went out and bought a real microphone. John in Ohio writing, wow, Greg asked someone how much money they make. Could you be any more crass? Can I recommend you stop asking that question? I would say you're better than that, but you asked this question so much on your show, perhaps you aren't better than that. Come on, John. I did not ask Joe, how much money do you make? That's crass. I said, if you're so inclined to answer, what's the gross revenue of the website? Look, you people talking about where I cross the line and how asking about gross revenues solely cements in my mind where my level of business acumen is and where your level of business acumen is. Do you even know what gross revenues are and what they mean? They're bullshit numbers. I'll tell you what's not BS, Primo Grills. That's right. What do we love? Oh. Hold on. Let me do this right. There we go. What do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they're fuel efficient. We love that you can achieve low and slow temperatures for traditional barbecue meats. We also love you can get rip-roaring hot for temperatures like grilling steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday lineup of ceramic cookers? The real ability to do true two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking, very important for both professionals and backyarders. It's the best way to manage a fire, cook with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker, not very realistic. Why? Because they're round. Enter Primo Grills and their game-changing oval design. The shape gives you the ability to execute a two-zone fire setup that you desire. It also gives you other ceramic grill benefits as well. Really, when you break it down, there's more than 60 different ways to configure that Primo cooker, so you're only limited by your culinary imagination. And we all know that lift hinge has been revamped. It gives you a nice 8-pound lift, which is really light. There's also revamps on the top and bottom air dampers. But if you're wanting more, Primo has you covered. The most anticipated accessory to date is out. You can get it right now at dealers or online, including the grill rotisserie. Everyone's favorite chicken can be done with ease now. Go online to primogrill.com, check it out, or visit a local Primo dealer to you and pick one of them up. Coming a bit later this year, the Primo Grill Pizza accessory, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But here's the bottom line. The best ceramics in the biz, patented technology, true two-zone cooking capabilities, multiple sizes, yes. If you just have to have a round one, they have those as well. But really, consider the oval for Pete's sake. Visit primogrill.com for a dealer near you, or check them on Facebook and on Instagram. Who's ready for a Primo? I'm ready for a Primo. Steven Reichlin is ready to be on this show in moments. So stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The BBQ Central Show. Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by the BBQ Guru, makers of automatic pit temperature control devices, sellers of ceramic cookers with built-in power draft fans and accessories to make your barbecue and grilling life easier. Visit them at bbqguru.com. or call them with your questions, 800-288-GURU. The Barbecue Guru continues to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. And if I saw correctly, Bob might be coming out with a new pizza spice, maybe even pizza sauce. He was very all over the social talking about the breakthrough pizza spice. So maybe we can get Bob on soon enough to talk about that. All right, it is the third Tuesday of the month, and that means it is time for a visit with the icon of the industry, hosts of TV shows, writers of books, teachers of classes. The list goes on. Friend of show, Stephen Reichland, joining us. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, Greg. How are you?
I am absolutely fabulous and appreciate you making time for the show, as always. Last month, Stephen, we were talking to you on location. You were down in South Carolina getting ready, maybe even 48 hours after you were on the show, to start putting on another round of BBQ University. So let's go ahead and take a look back and do a little post-mortem on this edition of BBQ U.
Yeah, it was a great session. We had a full house. We reconfigured our grill area. We had a giant hemicircle with 24 grills, smokers, wood-burning ovens, people from all over the country, even from all over the Americas. And we had an awesome time. It was, perfect mixture of intense barbecue instruction in the morning, time off to enjoy this incredible property, Montage Palmetto Bluffs, with 20,000 acres on the May River, boating, fishing, just a terrific place. Very happy place.
Was there a moment during the class where perhaps some of these guys went out, got a fishing charter or whatever it is, and then brought back fish and said, hey, can we do these in class on a whim?
Oh, man, they sure did. They brought back 2 gorgeous snappers and a Spanish mackerel. And, mackerel, sort of, unless it's impeccably fresh, it can be a little funky. But this stuff was so sweet. You wanted to just cut it up and eat it raw. It was, not that we did. I mean, of course, we grilled it in the wood-burning oven, but it was fabulous.
You're talking about how people were coming in from all over. As you look back through the years of BBQ University, do you know where the furthest traveling attendant has been so far?
Absolutely. So we have had students from as far away as Hong Kong, Guam, Dubai, from all over South America, all over North America, Europe, of course, Germany, Spain, France. Yeah, it's a very international school.
Are those folks coming in for more of the cooking instruction? Certainly when you go to one of these events, there's the rest and relaxation portion of it because of the majesty of the locations that you're at. But are these particular students doing a little bit more cooking?
Yeah, I think our foreign people are really coming, like the gentleman from Mexico, Alejandro was his name. He runs the national barbecue contest in Mexico, has a line of spices, has written a half a dozen really fabulous books. Alejandro Gutierrez is his name, from Monterrey. And I think for him, the visit was, strictly professional. It's not to say he didn't enjoy himself when class was out, but he was there to, learn every minute.
Also, I happen to know that new frequent shower-upper on this show, Robert Moss, was a student in attendance as well. What was it like having Robert as a student?
Oh, it's fabulous. Robert, if you don't know him, you should. He wrote a book called BBQ, History of an American Institution, which I actually just finished in preparation for a blog that we're going to do on him in the book on barbecuebible.com. A fascinating story. We know that barbecue is inextricably interwoven with American history and culture, but he actually went back and filled and connected the dots, and he found newspaper clippings, the names of people of long forgotten pitmasters, descriptions of these incredible barbecues, with 60,000 people, done without refrigeration, by the way, without walkie-talkies and without golf carts. So pretty hard to imagine, but the fascinating book. He's a super nice guy.
Stephen Reichland joining us here on the show, barbecuebible.com, his website. Stephen, let me ask you, as somebody who has, as much as I'm a proud thumper of Cleveland and now has the proper background behind me, you have a storied love affair with Maryland for obvious reasons. We're going to be vacationing there here shortly. We're going to Ocean City, and everyone in my family anticipating Maryland crab. So if I could ask you a couple different things, maybe a little backstory or history of what you know on the Maryland crab, and then perhaps more importantly, what can we expect from a preparation standpoint in a restaurant setting, and how do I eat these things?
A lot of questions with very long answers, but I'll try and shorten them. First of all, my connection with crab. I was born in Japan, but raised in Baltimore, Maryland. So every significant event of my life, from graduations to birthdays to anniversaries, were always celebrated over a Maryland crab feast. What I'd like you to imagine is a table spread with newspaper. The crabs are steamed in a mixture of vinegar and beer. After being thickly crusted with Old Bay or other seasoning, black pepper, and coarse salt. And they are steamed just until they turn bright red. They're dumped unceremoniously, or perhaps with great ceremony, onto the table. You're provided with two implements, a wooden mallet and a paring knife. And you are meant to eat the crabs with your bare hands, preferably drinking pitchers of icy Natty Boh, National Bohemian beer. So in terms of how to eat a Maryland, but by the way, I want to refer you to, I think it was episode 10 or episode 11 of the latest Project Fire, which we taped in Baltimore. And we called that show a Maryland Crab Feast. And I did a crab boil, but I did it with the Reichland twist, which was over a wood-burning fire instead of over a gas burner. I also brought some New Orleans elements in, like kielbasa and okra and corn, which probably would be regarded as heretical by anybody in Maryland, but nonetheless were very good. So here's how you eat it. First of all, you rip off one big claw. You gently pound it with the mallet to crack the shell. You eat the sweet meat just right out of the shell with the tongue-blistering spices stinging your lips and seasoning the meat. Then you break off the little swimmerettes, the little baby legs, and you kind of nibble those down, much the way you would, I guess, nibble honey out of a little straw. And then you turn the crab over, and there's what looks like a little beer tab on the bottom of it, beer can tab. You lift that up, you pry it open, and that enables you to separate the carapace, the back, from the body. You pull the back over. You scrape out what looks like the spaghetti in the center. That's the entrails, and that's parts that you don't want to eat. If you really want to act like an insider, inside the corners of the crab shell, you scrape with your paring knife. There's a yellow, fatty, it's actually the crab fat. We call it the mustard, and that is a real delicacy. Now you're ready to kind of get back down to business in terms of eating the crabs. You break the body in half. You cut each in half lengthwise, and you start with your fingers gently teasing out the milk white, sweet lump crab meat. By the way, after you've done this with a few crabs, you know why it costs $60 a pound. I mean, it's an incredibly time-consuming procedure. All the while, every bite you're eating with your fingers, it's got this thick, peppery, vinegary, spicy paste on it. So every bite you take, that paste is seasoning the delicate white meat of the crab. Now, one of the beauties of a crab feast is it never ends. I mean, it takes so long and so much energy to eat one crab that by the time you're done, you're hungry for another one. If I ever had to pick my last night's meal, it would be a crab feast, simply because, it would just keep going on forever.
Right. Live on
no, seriously, it's going to be I envy you. It's going to be an awesome. And by the way, when I was in high school, I was in a rock band, and our big gig was going down to Ocean City to play at a club in Ocean City.
Yeah, well, we're
really
staying on a place right on the boardwalk. But we were there a number of years ago, but it was for a softball tournament, so we spent a lot of time more in Salisbury than actually in the touristy part. So this time it's just for pleasure only, and we're looking forward to it.
Eat a crab for me. I'm envious. By the way, in that same show, and you can find these on StephenReichland.com. I think once they air, you can stream them or look for them on Create TV. But we also did a smoke roasted crab cake, where I took a crab cake, cooked it on a plancha, adding wood chunks to the fire. And then we did a grilled soft shell crab sandwich that was awesomeness itself. So, I mean, I'm up here in New England, we eat lots of grilled lobster here, but nothing beats on blue crab.
Well, now you've got me all jazzed up. We're going to be leaving out of here, within the next couple days. So that will be on the bucket list to do during the course of the next handful of days. And obviously, I'll report back and let you know how we did. And I'll have 1 or 10 for you as we go. Is it safe to think that any self-respecting crab house or shack is going to be serving these in a much similar way?
Well, they should. And if they're not serving them that way, then you're not in a good crab house. Now, just spoiler alert. In recent years, the newspapers sometimes come to be supplanted with brown butcher paper. So, that's not a deal breaker. But if your crabs are not dumped on the table, eaten with your bare hands, it's not the real deal.
That's the sign. All right. News coming in from Stephen Reichlin that I'm going to be taking to the vest and applying here shortly. Now, let's change gears a little bit, Stephen, and I appreciate you indulging me in my vacation, what I should and should not be doing when I'm in Ocean City. One of the recent posts on barbecuebible.com was the ember roasting of corn, which I'm sure could also lead to other vegetables, and that's a second part of this question here. But, you're a guy that continues to either bring old ways of cooking back into vogue or into style, or just inventing them yourself. I've seen you cook on the embers, doing caveman cooking, as you call it. I think I've seen you actually cook on shovels at one point. And now we are kind of returning back to a caveman-esque style, but doing it with vegetables. The book, of course, doing grilling vegetables is out, and this maybe rolls into it. But can you take me through how you would process corn and then get them down into the embers and how you cook?
Absolutely. Super easy. You build a charcoal fire, you rake it out into an even layer, you take a newspaper, remember those, and you fan the top to blow off any loose ash, and then you lay the corn in its husk right on the embers. Now, if you follow me, I'm definitely a husk off guy when it comes to grilling corn, no soak guy. But in this instance, you want to grill it in the husk because you want to burn the husk and silk off the corn. And in that process, that will drive a smoke flavor into the kernels of corn. Once all the husk and silk are burned off and the kernels are kind of dappled black and brown and yellow, your corn is done. And it's a fantastic way. Basically, and any bulbous, smooth skin vegetable can be caveman. And I'm thinking here, eggplants, totally amazing. I call this cavemaning, by the way, caveman grilling. Eggplant, fantastic grilled this way, and you can puree it and turn it into baba ganoush, or you can chop it up and make a salad. Bell peppers, fantastic grilled this way. You burn off the skin, they become supernaturally smoky, tender, sweet. Onions grilled in the skins, another fantastic way to cook that vegetable. Pumpkin or squash, char off the skin. The idea is we're used to sort of smoking with an external fuel, right? Wood chips or chunks, but you can char a vegetable right in the skin and use the skin as a smoking fuel to smoke the vegetable. So that's what you're doing.
Can you do it with potato?
Really, yeah, potatoes are a little bit different. You can do it with sweet potatoes because they have a high moisture content. Regular potatoes, you can do it. What I tend to do with those is I wouldn't put them right on the embers per se, but I would kind of move them to the periphery, or maybe if you've got some ash, kind of bury them in the ash and put some cinders on top, roast them in the embers. There's a famous Van Gogh painting called The Potato Eaters, where the potatoes are actually roasted in the embers, just as I described, come out jet black. And, that was kind of one of his last great masterpieces before he moved to France and discovered color. Check it out.
Stephen Reichlin joining us here on the show, barbecuebible.com's website. One last thing I wanted to ask you about, Stephen, before I let you go, and appreciate the time as always. You have been very upfront and honest as we've talked over the years about how you continue to develop and adapt and evolve within all the technology that's available today. And there continues to be rollouts of new social media, and who knows what's going to end up being great and what's just going to be a flash in the pan and then it's gone 5-6 months later. TikTok is obviously something that's been around for a while now. Very popular. Presidents were talking about potentially banning it, so that's when you know something's really popular. And more and more, I'm seeing a lot of my live fire kin getting on to TikTok and really amassing quite a following over quite a short period of time, especially when you compare it to how they started on YouTube or when they started on a podcast. Are you on TikTok? And if not, is that something that you might be looking into?
As of 3 days ago, I became a TikTok, what do I call it?
TikToker.
A TikTok user. I'm a TikToker. Yeah, I've made 3 posts. So if anybody's listening and they want to follow me, I would appreciate that. This was a young member of the family who thought that it would be a good idea for me to do it. And actually, she was helping me do it. So when she's gone, I hope I can figure out how to do it myself. But I do actually do my own social media, believe it or not. And I take great enjoyment out of that because it's really sort of interesting to see the reactions. And I learn a great deal by connecting with my own social media people.
Was your family member, younger family member, saying, hey, you need to get on here because there's a whole mass of people out here that maybe don't know about you or would only know about you in a peripheral way, and this would allow you to be more exposed to them and have them buy into the brand a little bit more?
Well, I think it was a little bit less marketing savvy and a little bit more, hey, this is really neat. Look at it. Me and my sister, we do this all the time, and you should do it too. But it's pretty cool.
How do you see it? I mean, you're a guy who, if there is anybody who has created more content in the live fire realm, I would challenge it immediately. So it would seem to me that this is a match made in heaven, whether it's a minute video or whatever, you would have to have somewhere around the neighborhood of 700 years worth of archived stuff that you've done. So you have a lot of TikTok ammo in the jacket here.
I have a lot of content, and it's undoubtedly it will eventually find its way onto all of my social media platforms. The challenge is I have so much content that figuring out the right way to dose it out. To keep timely, because I want to keep creating new stuff. But at the same time, I go back in the archives and look at the old stuff, and that's really cool too. No, it's, time marches on. I'm a guy that kind of grew up with newspapers and magazine writing. That's when I came of age. And then the TV came next, and then the website and the blogs, and now social media, and you keep moving. Well, even Barbecue Central has a new background.
That's right. We keep moving. That's
Very
right,
handsome.
Steve. It only took 12 years, but here we are nonetheless. BarbecueBible.com is website. Follow Steven on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, and now TikTok. So get over there and give him a follow. And you can find him here on the third Tuesday of every month. Steven, always appreciate the time. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, everybody. Good talking to you.
You too. There he is, Hall of Famer right there, Steven Reichlin. Once again, get over on TikTok and follow him. Do you know Malcolm Reed has like 660,000 TikTokers followers? Man, 600. He's got, relatively speaking, and I don't think Malcolm has been on TikTok for, has it been 6 months? Can you tell? Can somebody jump on TikTok and see when the account was started? I don't think he's been on there a year. I mean, he's 1.3, 1.4 million on YouTube, and I know he's been doing that for 10 years. So now certainly the big following on YouTube helps grow whatever you're getting into once you've reached his level of fame. But I would imagine within a year he'll have more TikTok followers than he'll have YouTube subscribers. And YouTube's the main deal. Maybe it should be YouTube. He's growing like crazy. You can find him on the show here once a month on the first Tuesday, if you didn't know that. If you're just tuning in for the first time. That was Steven Reichlin, BarbecueBible.com, his website. Follow him on TikTok. You can follow me on TikTok. I am posting never. Shame on me. I should. And I'm not even going to say I'm going to get better at that. I'm just saying I should. I should post more, but I don't. Once again, thanks to Steven Reichlin. Let me talk to you quickly about Pits and Spits. Since 1983, Pits and Spits, handcrafting smokers and grills in Houston, Texas. And in that time, establishing itself as one of the premier brands and high-quality offset smokers and more recently pellet cookers. Pits and Spits setting itself apart by using heavy 7 and 10 gauge stainless in every cooker, a fully welded construction that you can feel when you use the unit. 304 stainless roll top lids and front shelves on every smoker. Does it matter? Yes. By using high-quality material, you reach and maintain temperatures, allowing you to worry more about the meat than the heat. And by providing a fully welded smoker, you don't have to worry about grease and smoke leaking out of the barrel, that grill rattling apart as you move it through the backyard. And it's an heirloom quality piece you can pass down to the kids if you want. Now, where some companies focus on being a low-cost provider, Pits and Spits focuses on craftsmanship and using quality materials. Are there cheaper ways to make these? Yes. Are they going to? No. Because they don't like tack welds and cheap stainless and electronics you can't trust. Having in-house manufacturing gives them control of everything they want. Not something you find in with the other stuff. Steel suppliers give you material to be used in some of the harshest environments. It's going to perform anywhere if you live in Michigan or Florida or any points in between. Controllers are made right here in the States. They have unimpeded transparency into the programming. Pits and Spits is sold through a dealer network across the country, but if there isn't one near to you, give Coy a call in the shop, 844-650-6250. Whether you're a backyard grill master or a competition team, they have the right pit for you. Check them out online, pitsandspits.com. That's pitsandspits.com, all spelled out. Or see their pits in the wild across social media at their handle at Pits and Spits. Once again, all spelled out. Bill Oakley is in the green room. So we're going to be talking fast food and Las Vegas trips and other shenanigans and hijinks. So you just stick around and we'll be right back.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And this portion of the show being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all those pellet-driven cookers, no matter what brand. This is the brand of pellet that you want to buy. Visit cookinpellets.com for more information, see what other products they have, or to purchase cookinpellets.com. My next guest tonight is a growing fast food reviewer on social media, specifically Instagram, because of the 1 minute time limit. And he is joining me once again for now the second time. So we would say a semi-recurring guest at this point, Bill Oakley. Hey, Bill.
Hello. Excited to be back.
Before we get into the recent Las Vegas trip, Bill, and where you were eating and what was good out there and perhaps what wasn't good out there, I wanted to ask you about an article I had read recently that put a Houston, Texas Burger King on blast, basically saying that they were unethically upselling at the drive-through order box. As an example, Bill goes to Burger King and says, I want a large double Whopper cheese, hold the onions, blah, blah, blah. And they say, do you want that medium or large? Never saying that there's a small option available. And now somebody has decided to take issue with this. So is this unethical, or should the buyer beware and know that there is yet a smaller option available, and this is much ado of nothing?
You know, I'm not totally sure there is a smaller option available. I know we discussed this briefly earlier, and I was like, I never once heard of a small version of a combo meal. It's kind of a regular and a large situation where, and I would be honestly, is there a small version of like a McDonald's, whatever, number 6 meal? If there is, I've never heard of it. So to me, it doesn't sound quite like so much of a scam because I always thought they just came in 2 sizes, not 3. But I can see that if there were a small version available, that not mentioning it would, yes, be somewhat of a scam.
Could I play devil's advocate here and say they, as in the fast food, have done such a good job at saying medium or large, or showing you only on the price board that there's medium and large options, that indeed there is small, and perhaps we just are an uneducated consuming base?
That is totally true, and I will have to check it. Next time I go to McDonald's, which probably will be within 24 hours, I'm going to look. I'm going to look because if there is one, it's news to me.
All right. Do you go to McDonald's a lot? Is it just for reviews and whatnot? Are you a big fan?
No, I go there. It's pretty close. It's the only really conveniently located one, and I do go there a lot because I like it's a convenient way to get a cheeseburger on my, and I'm going somewhere.
Is that what is most magical about McDonald's, especially? I've eaten at some Burger Kings. For whatever reason, here in Ohio, Burger King seems to not carry a lot of popularity. You can go by. Typically, their McDonald's and a Burger King are in close proximity to each other, so it's pretty easy to see who has the bigger line at whatever period of time of the day you're rolling around it. And 10 times out of 10, there are 8 or 9 times more cars in the McDonald's drive-thru than there is in the BK drive-thru. Do you find the same thing out there in Oregon?
Absolutely. And RBKs are especially dilapidated for some particular reason. And I think the thing is that it's also much more of a family, like what I see at McDonald's is lots and lots of minivans where there's obviously kids in there, and the kids want the Happy Meal, the kids want an ice cream cone or McFlurry. And I think that's, whereas I've never known any kid ever that wanted to go to Burger King. So I think that has a lot to do with it probably. And it's also that McDonald's has really, at least around here, they've really upgraded their drive-through experience. It goes much faster, it's much clearer, and the Burger King one is still the 1970s one.
Do you think also that Burger King has really marshaled themselves off in the flavor profile category because they do the flame broiling, and perhaps a younger, less experienced palate would taste that burger and go, ugh, I don't like that, and just a top fried on both sides burger that McDonald's is doing is a little bit more appreciable to the younger palate?
I think that might have something to do with it, but it's
are we
also
digging
the fact
too
that
deep into fast food, Bill? I mean, what are we doing?
There's no such thing as too deep in fast food, Greg. Honestly, I could go as deep as you want to go, and 10 times deeper than that in terms of this subject. But yeah, McDonald's attracts families because they market so heavily to kids with the prizes and the toys and the stuff. Burger King doesn't do that.
Bill, ketchup on hot dogs, yes or no?
Yes. I'm going to say yes, and I know this is a big. Boy, do I get you. This and mayonnaise are the two biggest things online. Whenever you bring these two things up, ketchup on hot dogs or mayonnaise, just the existence of mayonnaise, or mayonnaise on anything, is such a polarizing topic that it just. I'm shocked, honestly, that people have such a passion for not having mayonnaise or for caring so much about people putting ketchup on their hot dogs. Now, let me say, there are many types of hot dogs that you should not put ketchup on. You never put ketchup on a Chicago dog. You never put ketchup on a Carolina dog. You don't put it on one with sauerkraut and whatever. But if you just want to have a hot dog with some ketchup on it, I usually have my regular ones with ketchup, mustard, and relish, which I think is a fine, thing. I don't want them with just ketchup, but I don't have any objection to people putting ketchup on them like so many people do.
And you're saying that there's a general disdain for mayo in general, not just like going on a hot dog, but hey, there's mayo on that. Oh, F you.
Yes.
Wow.
It's shocking. And I would say based on my observation, probably about 20% of the public hates mayonnaise with a passion. And they get real upset about or something that you get mayonnaise on something. And it's like, I've had this, I honestly was stunned to know that there was such a large community of mayonnaise haters, because I'm a mayonnaise enthusiast.
Yes.
And I'm honestly shocked by the vehemence with which they hate it.
Bubba Burgers, yes or no?
I've only had them once or twice, and they're totally fine as far as I'm concerned. But I don't remember it well enough to make a real definitive pronouncement. I know that at least at my grocery store, they got 6 or 7 other competing brands that look to be pretty much identical. So I don't know, and I haven't really tried them. For me, it's not that much harder just to make a regular old burger with fresh ground beef. So that's in general what I do.
Bill Oakley joining me here on the show. You can follow him over on Instagram if you're not doing that currently, at that, THAT, at that Bill Oakley. And you can check out what he's posting. He does a lot of story posting, which, of course, is at the top of the app, and those things delete within 24 hours. But then he's also making some really cool videos on the stuff that he's reviewing as well. So give him a follow if you're not doing that. Recently, Bill, you took a trip out to Las Vegas. So were you just going out for the food experience, or were you brought out there for some kind of business?
No, it's primarily for food when I go there. And this time it was extremely I would actually say it was kind of hectic because I wanted to try so many different places, and I can only eat so many meals in a day, and I basically kind of down to four, and during my trip I kind of I was busy going to these places, and I kind of I crowdsourced it because I didn't know what was really good in Las Vegas, and I asked my Instagram followers, and I got hundreds of recommendations, and I tried to go to the ones that got the most.
So you're basically saying, hey, I'm going to Vegas for X amount of days. Where should I eat? Like, are you casting that big of a net?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. And I did, and I went to most of the places that got 10 or more recommendations. And I had nothing but incredible meals. And to some extent, though, I wish because when I'm too full, I don't appreciate the meal. So I had to dial it down. I didn't want to have four gigantic meals a day. I had to have some lighter stuff, and I had to have some, smaller items than I would normally have had, just so I could sample the places.
So as you look back on it, now that you've had a little time away from it, you can unbiasedly rate everything. Who, in your estimation, was winning in Las Vegas? What are the top two or three that really stand out in your mind?
I don't think there's that much of an argument at the moment. There's been a number of Asian places that have gotten a lot of press. That Roy Choi's best friend, and I think it's David Chang's Momofuku. And I think honestly, at Momofuku, I only went for the happy hour where they have an incredibly price reduced menu, and it was amazing. That was probably the best thing I had. My entire trip was the fried chicken bun at Momofuku, which was amazing. The second best thing I had was at another Asian place called Mott 32, which has a kind of a unique Pan-Asian type menu. And I had these hot and sour soup dumplings, which also were some of the best things I've ever eaten. And then interestingly, the best thing I had was not a fancy at all, was at a place called Dirt Dog, which I think originated in LA. And I had this hot Cheetos covered corn on the cob. And I'm actually not, there's all these weird dishes these days that are made with hot Cheetos.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of them, and I've never sought them out. But this people recommended, and I had it, and it was staggeringly good.
Staggeringly
those
good.
are the top three. Staggeringly good. And
Wow.
and a couple other places that I want to mention for anybody going out there. First of all, everything that I did in Las Vegas is on my Instagram, is on my highlights. It's divided into Las Vegas A and Las Vegas B. So there's a lot of stuff, including not just food, but other attractions I visited. Other places you must visit are this place called the Egg Slut, which is in the Cosmopolitan, which makes breakfast stuff. I know that name is a strange name. They make breakfast stuff, including these breakfast sandwiches, which are just magnificent. Then there's the Pepper Mill, which is a very famous Las Vegas place, which is real old school and has a incredible aesthetic, which is really neon, like really 1970s Las Vegas. And the food is like basically kind of a diner style menu, but everything on it is spectacular. And people have been raving about it for I don't know, 30 or 40 years, I guess. Those are other places I would recommend.
I know you probably don't want to go here, and I'm trying to tread on the verbiage to be nice, but are there places that get hyped that you would say, after being there, I would say try other places first before you would try these two or three?
Gordon Ramsay steak. That's where I went. The first night I was there was a Gordon. I have nothing but admiration for Gordon Ramsay, but I went to his place that's a steak place in the, I think it's in the Paris, and first, it's insanely expensive, and the place is just one. It's a mill. It's a tourist mill. The place is big. It's gigantic. It smells kind of strange. The food was all B minuses. There wasn't, and at that price. I want A's. Every other place I ate was an A or A plus, and this place, it was really more of a fancy sizzler or something like that, where it kind of like they cranked it out, man. They cranked it out, and you get with your meal, you get a free autographed picture of Gordon Ramsay, which I'm certain was not really signed by him. So I left it in the men's room and stuff like that, I don't recommend that place. I'm sure his other places, especially Hell's Kitchen, which has a 3-month waiting list of reservations. I couldn't even get in. That probably has a little bit better, but this place is showing its age. The food is good, but not great, and by no means is it worth the colossal price you'll pay for it.
Anything else that was within that realm, or that takes the cake?
No, that was the only. I didn't go to places that I thought were going to be crummy. I only went to places that I thought were going to be great, and that was not among them.
Bill, one last thing before I let you go tonight, and appreciate the time. I saw you make a post earlier about a book called The Unofficial Simpsons Cookbook. Obviously, anybody that's a fan of yours knows that you were the writer, showrunner, 7, 8 years, whatever it was. So this has to hold a certain place in your heart here, and I know you wrote the foreword to it. So tell me a little bit about this book and the opportunity.
I want to get it out right here so I can leaf through it as I tell you. Hold on.
Please.
Okay. So any people watching on video, this is what the book looks like. You still there?
Yes, I'm right. Yep. I just pushed in on you so we could just see the book.
Oh,
nice.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So there's the book. Okay. You can order it from simonandschuster.com or much more conveniently on amazon.com. And it is by Laurel Randolph, who runs a Instagram account called The Joy of Cooking Millhouse, which I recommend you follow. And she's been doing this, I think, for years, making recipes of things that appeared on The Simpsons. And a lot of them seem to be from the era that I was there. And you got things like you got the squishy, you got recipes, and these recipes are good too. They're not garbagey. They're, like the food on The Simpsons is intentionally bad in many cases. These recipes are improved versions of things that you've seen on the show, like the squishy, for example, or steamed hams, which I wrote, which, comes as the Krusty Burger, or the various cakes you've seen in the show. And so like there must be like 100 of them in here. And wow. It's really fun. Like, and the photography is so good. And I highly recommend that anybody who is familiar with the show and has remembered all the different crazy foods we've had and get this book. It's not, even if you don't want to cook, it's still fun to look at these photos because it's funny to see these items in real life, painstakingly cooked. And the photographs are so good. They really look like they came out of the Simpsons universe.
If you were not necessarily a Simpson watcher and just a lover of food, also a book you would want to give a try, or is this really more in the Simpsons wheelhouse?
It's 90% for fans, but I think that if you were just kind of an experimental eater, you might want to give it a shot as well. But I would say it's 90% fan service.
And it's currently available right now. Go to Amazon or go to the Simon & Schuster website.
I think it comes out in like 2 weeks, but you can pre-order it now. Yeah.
All right, pre-order, so that's good. And then the writer just get a hold of you and ask you to write a foreword then?
Yeah, I think that I'd been following that account for a long time because I love to see her make these things in real life, and we just kind of corresponded on Instagram. And of course, I was delighted to write the foreword because I'm at food. It combines two of my hugest interests and two of my careers, food and Simpsons writing.
How does she go about trying to decipher what she's seeing on a cartoon and then devising a recipe that may or may not be whatever they're showing in like 2 or 3 colors?
The recipes are in most cases, her versions are improved versions of the food.
Sure.
Many of the food items were supposed to be terrible, and her versions are improved versions of it. Like when Homer made that pie out of like cloves and Tom Collins mix. That was all that was in the house, right? She has a version of a pie that is an appetizing version of that, for instance. So you'd still get your jollies from knowing that it was a Simpsons thing, but it's a palatable. It's something you'd want to eat as opposed to something that was total crud.
Bill, how are you finding the continued traction on Instagram, and where are you looking to continue to take this over the next handful of months? Like what's big on the food scene that you're hearing about that you're looking forward to reviewing?
Well, a couple of different things. First of all, I don't think since the last time I was on here, the Burger King chicken sandwich, the final entry in the chicken sandwich war was brought by Burger King, and much to my surprise, it was terrific. And I later found out it's because Popeyes and Burger King are now owned by the same place, and basically Popeyes is using Burger King's using a Popeyes recipe with a slight amendment. So it's really terrific. And in fact, my review of it was so shockingly good that I now appear in a Burger King commercial. And some of your viewers may have seen it already. It appeared during the NBA Finals, where what the portion of my review appears in the Burger King commercial. So I do recommend that. The next thing to come out that I'm interested in, coming out I think next week, is Popeye's Chicken Nuggets, which is their sequel to their sandwich, which is apparently using the same kind of recipe that they use in the sandwich to make chicken nuggets. And Popeyes has already made, this is one thing that's a little weird to me, because Popeyes has already made popcorn chicken and chicken strips for years. And this doesn't seem like it's incredibly different, but they're using the cooking techniques from the sandwich, which obviously everybody loves. So it actually might be somewhat revolutionary as well.
In your heart of hearts, Bill, and I'm asking you to speculate with your more fervent of knowledge here, is this now going to set off the chicken nugget wars of 2021, much like the Popeyes chicken sandwich set off a war of chicken sandwiches amongst the fast food eateries?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I don't think it will, because this is what I found out from people inside the business who now talk to me about stuff like this. The whole chicken sandwich war was not started by Popeyes. Was started by Chick-fil-A, and started by everybody. Every other chain was like, Chick-fil-A is expanding all over the place. We need a chicken sandwich that can rival them. And the first one out of the gate was Popeyes, and it sort of defined the whole field. But that was kind of what it was. And so in this case, I don't know that everybody is that the restaurant universe is saying we need a new chicken nugget. And also because, again, how different is it going to be than the previous Popeyes chicken nugget attempts? I don't think it's going to be that different, but I'll be delighted to be shocked and amazed at how great it is.
All right. Well, I will wait for your review. We'll have you back on, of course, in a couple months to get a full review of those, and perhaps we will then be able to see if my question was fortuitous or if it was just a toss away here at the end of the segment. Yep.
It'll be interesting to see whether America, whether there'll be a whole new chain. Honestly, I'm looking forward to a new trend that is not chicken. I've had enough chicken sandwiches this year. I'll have the nuggets, but I kind of would like to see something else be the next fast food war.
All right, let's put you on record right now, Bill Oakley, at that Bill Oakley on Instagram. What do you think could be the next food trend in the fast food world that should take off? What needs to be revamped or revisited or something along these lines?
Onion rings. If this is it's not only what I think it should be revisited, this is the one that I would choose. I think that there's something really hard about cooking onion rings, apparently, and only Burger King has them, and they're not very good there, but they're still okay. And I don't know that many other places even attempt them, but to be honest, that's that's my favorite side. Like, I don't even order fries most of the time. I order just a second burger because for the same calories, I'd rather have a second burger. But onion rings, I will order if they're available, and I would love it if somebody would, if there'd be an onion ring war. I would be so happy.
All right, you've heard it here, fast food people. So get on your onion ring recipes, and that's going to be potentially the war of 2020. We'll start it here, Bill.
I hope. I don't know.
Starting at the Barbecue Central.
I'm hoping and praying that that's the next innovation in the world of fast food is a delicious new onion ring.
We'll see. Bill Oakley is my guest. You can follow him over on Instagram at @ThatBillOakley, and go ahead on over to Amazon and pick up that unofficial Simpsons cookbook and enjoy it, especially if you're a Simpsons fan. Bill, appreciate the time this evening. Thanks so much for doing it.
It's always my pleasure, Greg. Thanks for having me.
You got it. There he is, Bill Oakley right there. Well, I started the countdown timer on accident, but that's all right. You won't see that. Follow Bill over at Instagram, and you can also check him out. He posts a number of stories, as I'd said. So if you're not familiar with Instagram, get familiar with it because his stories are great. And he's very entertaining, and he does a really good job at his niche. If you like Dame drops, I think Dame has gotten a little too big for his shoes. He's reached a new stratosphere. I mean, really, let's break it down. You're reviewing fast food. Don't get too high and mighty, pal. Bill's right in the niche right now. He's kind of the master. Speaking of master, Sterling Ball over at Big Papa Smokers, killing it on the competition scene as always, but also giving you the best products to step up that barbecue and grilling game in the backyard. You like rubs and seasonings? They have 13 perfectly balanced rubs and seasonings. Popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, all proven winners on the competition circuit. And in the backyard, you can find them over at BigPapaSmokers.com. They also own Granny's Barbecue Sauce, so if you're looking for a new go-to sauce that will please everybody, Granny's traditionally a powerful flavors. Remind you of why you fell in love with barbecue in the first place. They also have other top-rated sauces available on the website. And aside from the premium selection of rubs and sauces, they got cookers, right? Who's ready for a versatile smoker that's easy to use? Me! I am. Check out that Mac 2-star General Pellet Cook. Big Papa Smokers, the exclusive Mac dealer, even offering special packages. Not a fan of pellet smokers? All right. Take a look at that Old Hickory Ace BP. Super sexy, the only charcoal smoker that Big Papa trusts on his competition trailer. If you're not sure of what grill you need, give them a call. Ask questions. They will help you get the right cooker to fit both your needs and budget. 877-828-0727. Or shop the website bigpopasmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. That was Bill Oakley, and we'll be back right after this to wrap up the first hour. Stick around. We'll be right back.
This is Chris Payne from Euclid, Ohio, and you are listening to Barbecue Central.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
All right, welcome back to this portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard 2, Fireboard 2 Drive, Fireboard 2 Pro. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring or via Bluetooth. If you have Alexa, the Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck. Fireboard fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. That's Fireboard 2, Fireboard 2 Drive, and Fireboard 2 Pro. Once again, we thank Bill Oakley for joining me last segment, giving you the rundown on where to go in Las Vegas if you're going anytime soon, where not to go. Gordon Ramsay's Steakhouse. Let me save you the email. Greg, you asked Joe Clements how much revenue his website makes, but you don't ask Bill Oakley how much the bill was at the steak place for Gordon Ramsay. Come on. Not the same. At that Bill Oakley is his Instagram handle. Follow him over there. And we also thank Stephen Reichland for joining us before Bill in the first hour, talking about Maryland crab. Can't wait to get my hands on some of that the next week or two. All right, let's wrap up the first hour. We're a little over right now, so we'll have a abbreviated top of the second hour, and we'll get to guests after that. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Helen Paradise from SoCal, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet or wiener.
Oh, listen, Libertius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. You're watching the Barbecue Central Show. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. However you're getting it, we're doing it live right here every Tuesday.
We'll do it live.
9 to 11. We're recording for podcast release on Wednesdays and Thursdays. We'll get to Friday here in a second. Still to come on this show, Jess Pryles from Hardcore Carnivore in about 11 minutes from now. And then, closing out the show, Matt Overson from Wicked Pig. He is a champion Steak Cook-Off Association cook, griller. Let's say it like that. Don't forget, you can follow me socially on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, /BBQ Central Show on Facebook and Twitch, /RD Rempe on YouTube. Sorry, the handle for all those other social media ones, at BBQ Central Show, in case I didn't say that. Jason Pettis is a longtime fan. Sometimes I miss the old Weird Science mix. So do I, Jason, but rules with copyright music and stuff. So all the music that you hear on the show now, I've either bought or it's copyright free, whatever they call it. You got to play by the rules now. Even though YouTube and Amazon both hate my guts and won't pay me no matter what, and won't listen to my explanations for things that I didn't do, they don't give a shit about that. They don't want to pay me, I can tell you that. I digress. Also, aside from the social media, if you want, you can get an ad-free podcast feed, if you desire, by becoming a patron over at the new Barbecue Central Show Patreon page. That's patreon.com/BBQ Central Show. Or if you're an Apple Podcast user, you can get the ad-free show feed by subscribing directly within the podcast app itself. So enjoy that if you're so inclined. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this Friday, episode 186, if you can believe it, 14 weeks out from broaching the 200 show mark. This one taking you back to July 31st, 2012, where you will find the ever-popular, the most downloaded styles of show that this particular program has ever seen, the Roundtable shows. This one is a brisket roundtable show to include the top brisket pitmasters of that time, now 9 years ago. Mike Wozniak, the Wizard of Woz, from QOW or Barbecue Ow or whatever they're calling themselves now in the third iteration, but back when I knew him, it was QOW. Also on the panel, Ryan Newstrom from Big T's Q Crew. And rounding out the panel at that time was Scott Key from Little Pigtown. 3 of the top brisket cooks back then. And it ends up being a bit of a garnish conversation, the way John constructed it. So if you're a longtime fan of the show and you were listening when there was a lot more competition stuff, one of the questions through roundtables, or if you had a fairly substantial competitor on the show for an evening who held the ear of a lot of folks, I would always bring up the garnish and how, can you believe that garnish is listed as optional, and who would ever turn in a box without garnish in it? Aren't you just asking to lose? So you'll hear a little bit of that garnish conversation, what it sounded like 9 years ago. So take a look back and see what you think. If by chance you have a segment or a guest you would like to hear from again from a previous show, shoot John an email, jon@thebbqcentralshow.com, and he'll do his best to meet your needs. And then there's this. I have received a number of emails over the last many months. And it especially heightened once again over the last week because of Meathead's fat yapper telling me that my blind love for Bubba Burgers is, in a word, wrong. Is it? Meathead went on and on about it last week, saying how bad they were. It took them 2 months to get through the box. There's only 6 burgers in a box. There's no way it took you 2 months to get through it. But trust me, I've seen Meathead. He's not.
Well, Andrew, you are not the father.
He's not eating one burger at a time, no matter how gross he says they are. So 3 weeks tops, that box of burgers stayed in his house. But he wants to say 2 months to get through the box. I even got a text message from Jay over at the Grill Coach podcast saying, and I quote, "Yes, Greg, I fell into your Bubba Burger trap. Your food judgments will forever be in question." Well, here's the good news for those of you who think that I snookered you in some way as it relates to Bubba Burgers. I have collected all of your names, related information, sent them to Bubba Burger Corporate, and I have told them to ban all of you from being able to purchase any of their products going forward. They have your pictures at all the cash registers across all the grocery stores and retailers nationwide. They've been given strict instructions by Bubba Burger Corporate to confiscate any Bubba Burger products from you because you don't deserve them anymore. I'm helping you from yourself. If you think that my burger tastes are whack because I find Bubba Burgers to be freaking delicious circles of beefy goodness, fine. More for me, and you're banned from buying them anymore. It's a win-win. I get all the Bubba Burgers I want, and you get dick. I'm not saying that we can't have different palates. I mean, you people are the only ones making sure I know how much of a shithead I am for loving Bubba Burgers. What I'm saying is this. If you have a problem with Bubba Burgers, you really don't have a problem with me at all. You have a problem with yourself. I live in a home with some of the most discerning barbecue and grilling palates in the world. Do you know how many times those women, and I say that with peace and love, by the way, do you know how many times those women have complained about Bubba Burgers? Go ahead. Toss out a number. I'll wait. What do you think? 3 times? 19 times? 119 times? Wrong. 0 times. Do they hate pork tenderloin? Yes. Will they take a pass on most chicken that comes off the grill or smoker? Yes. Have they ever complained about a Bubba Burger? No, never. Do you know why? Because they're fucking delicious. Trust me, I love them. So go ahead, grind your own meat, do all that happy horse shit the way that you think you're doing it better than me, and I'll just continue to fire up the gas grill and toss on my frozen Bubba Burgers and laugh at you who think that I'm a loon. Don't forget, you're banned from buying them anymore, fuckface. I think I set you straight on that. I think I did. I like it. I'm going to leave it there. You can't hurt my feelings by trying to blast me in the package for my undying and blind love of Bubba Burgers. They're just great. And we can agree to disagree and still be friends. That's why this America works between me and you. Now, if you can't get over the fact that I like Bubba Burgers, unsubscribe. We'll get the ones that can agree to disagree. Jess Pryles is in the green room. Before we get to her, I will talk to you quickly about Yoder Smokers. Designing and building all of their products right here in the States. Building pride through craftsmanship. World-class customer service is the backbone of how that company's built. This approach translates into what can truly be a bespoke-style product that elevates gatherings with friends and family. They're honored to have a trusted place in the backyards of America. From pellet grills to wood-fueled offset pits or charcoal grills, consistent blue ribbon flavor has become synonymous with the name Yoder Smoker. Make no mistake, Yoder Smoker's flavor-driven design is unique to each style of pit, and the team has developed their cookers to perform time and time again while outlasting the competition for generations to come. It's this generational thought that's rooted in the handmade products and defines the integrity of the core values. American-made quality, endless flavor are the benchmarks of Yoder Smokers. Find them at yodersmokers.com and grab yours today. That's yodersmokers.com. And we'll be right back with Jess Pryles. Stick around.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
The emails are rolling in at a feverish pace. Slow down, creeps. This portion brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet, currently available in 2 sizes, a host of accessories to complete the Pit Barrel cooking experience. Beginners, professionals, you're all invited. Hit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. My first guest in the second hour is the CEO of Hardcore Carnivore brand of products. She's also a spokesperson for a number of high-profile brands, book writer, social media, internet sensation, as well as Barbecue Central Show guest Hall of Famer. We race to the hotline and welcome back quarterly guest Jess Pryles. Hey, Jess. Jess, not there. Uh-oh. My computer just froze. We'll try to get on ASAP. All right. Well, wonderful. As I mentioned, the emails are rolling in. I will save you what they're saying. but a lot of them are in disagreement with me. Number one, Dino Dan is saying, hey, we going to hear about the horse head post, Greg? Not tonight. We're definitely not doing that tonight. But I was a bit heartened to see, I think maybe, Dan, that somebody put that up there as a joke. I don't think anybody's really cooking that horse head. I did ask that person to contact me directly through Messenger on Facebook so we could immediately set up a segment. However, that has not happened yet, but we'll continue to try. No problem. Austin Parsons weighing in. Hey, Solberg, put that Bubba Burger rant in the hopper for the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less years from now. That was fantastic. Thank you, Austin. By the way, Dino Dan rolling back in again. Nothing wrong. Okay, let's try that again. Oh, where did it go? Canceled. I'm sorry. That was Rick Hodge that said this. Ain't nothing wrong with the Bubba Burger. You're right, Rick. There's just nothing wrong. We will agree. Maybe we won't. Someday we might, I think, actually. When everybody tries it, we can all come together in the biggest barbecue roundtable that has ever been displayed and figure out if I am indeed a kook or if there might be a little legitimacy to what appears to be an undying love for Bubba Burgers. In the horse, do I still have this up? I don't know if anybody saw this or not. I got to accept cookies. Go over here. Did anybody else see this when it rolled through? This was done a handful of months ago. Back in the day. Earlier in the year. Let me block that. Farmer selling horse milk for whatever 13 euro a pint is, if you can believe that. That's right. $13, 13 euros a pint. A British farmer produces the world's most expensive milk from horses, costing 13 euros a pint. Frank Shellard runs the only farm in Britain to commercially produce the alternative dairy product. He says he got the idea to cure his daughter's eczema. Frank's family business, Combe Hay Mare's Milk, has 14 mares producing 12 to 14 liters a day to make milk and hand cream lotion. Frank says his mare's milk is far sweeter, much lower fat content than cow milk, and says it's drunk by over 30 million people around the world. To date, in America, I know 0 people that are drinking horse milk, other than baby horses. Frank, 62, got the idea for the business after seeing the product cure his daughter's 30-year-old Allison's skin problem when she was 12. Allison now works on the farm where she's in charge of milking, head milker, and former eczema sufferer Allison. Mare's milk is not designed to replace regular cow's milk, but Frank says its health benefit means everyone should be incorporating it into their own diet. He said it's a lot more expensive. It's probably the most expensive milk in the world at $6.50 for 250 milliliters, whatever a milliliter is. But and a quote saying, you would be drinking it as a health drink more than putting it on your cornflakes. The ethics of it are fantastic. There's no chemicals used whatsoever. It's even helped combat high cholesterol after he suffered a stroke last year. Frank from Bath, Somerset, said doctors tried to get cholesterol down, but they were struggling. I started drinking a liter of horse milk a day, went back in after about a month. They couldn't believe how much it had gone down. Frank says Combe Hay is the only business commercially producing horse milk in Great Britain. He added, they're the only ones in the world registered with the Soil Association, which means all the milk they produce is 100% organic and without chemicals. So just when you thought the love of horse couldn't get any deeper, here it's curing eczema, bringing down the bad cholesterol. I assume it's the bad cholesterol. You don't want to bring down the good cholesterol, the LDLs and the HDLs. Now, where I see this going sideways for this particular guy, once it hits the internet, it is now worldwide. And is this something that's going to translate? Like, can I call this guy's farm and say, hey, Greg from the Barbecue Central show, would love a liter of the horse milk sent over to me. I got some ailments that I would rather not disclose to you due to HIPAA. But how much is it for you to ship on over here? Is that what the signal is? Is it pounds, like the weird E? Is that what it is, Dan? I apologize if I'm not saying the correct currency, but bear with me. It's very expensive. It's the most hated. It's the most hated. Or the most hated. It's the most expensive milk ever. Maybe it's the most hated milk ever. I can see people gearing on or staying on more with this horse milk than they would ever buy into the inevitable eating of horse meat. However, while it appears we have a few moments, and perhaps we won't be getting an interview with Jess Pryles here this evening as she's battling through some computer problems, according to her text messages, I have time to read yet another passage. That's right. We go ahead and race to horse meat for human consumption. Last time we visited the reference material on eating horse meat, we talked about tenderloin steak. And tonight we're going to be talking about rib steak from the horse. That's right. The rib steak is more flavorful than the tenderloin and very nearly as tender. It is cooked much the same as tenderloin, though a trifle more difficult to broil successfully. Broil? We grill our horse meat on this show, pal. It should be bought with the bone still in it, as the bone in the steak enhances flavor. No, it doesn't! Come on, Leon. Where were you in 1950? I know Meathead was around in 1952. Why weren't you consulting him? The bone does not add flavor to the meat, you dummy. It's calcified. It's not giving any flavor. I'll look past it. To pan fry, the steak should first be rolled in flour, then cooked very slowly in a well-oiled pan. Add salt after the steak is nearly done. To broil, select a cut which seems to contain an unusual amount of natural fat, and follow the procedure previously outlined for broiling the tenderloin. The French people cook the rib steak by seasoning first, inserting several garlic cloves into the meat, then pan frying very quickly until both sides are brown, then removing from the pan while the steak is still quite rare. Otherwise, the meat becomes tough. After removing the steak, add red wine and parsley to deglaze the pan. And that steak juice to bring to the boil makes a really delicious sauce. Well, there you go. Your most recent passage of horse meat, no problem. All right, well, we're going to cut losses with Jess here. We'll try and rebook her again. However, I do see Matt Overson is in the green room as well. So we'll do a quick break here, and we'll have perhaps a bit of an extended time with Matt. He's a world championship pitmaster, if you didn't know it, and steak cook, so we got a lot to talk about. Before we get to Matt, I will talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grill, some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. Choice Line, Prime Line, totally up to you. Choice Line is the entry level. Let me thumb this out. That's right. That's the entry level. So you don't get Wi-Fi connectivity, you don't get app connectivity, you don't get internal meat probes. But if you don't need any of that, then don't worry about it. Save yourself a couple $100. Get the Choice Line. Comes in both the Jim Bowie, the Daniel Boone size. You're off and running. Now, if you like some tech, If you want to have internal meat probes, if you want to adjust the temperature of the cooker through an app so you can be anywhere in the world and do that, depending on what the deal is, hey, no problem. You can get the Prime Plus line. Prime Plus gives you a front shelf, more of a robust build on the chassis. You have lights on the inside of the cooking chamber and a window on top so you can peek in without opening. Also a peek-in window on the main pellet hopper. Both lines will accommodate the pizza oven insert as well. So know it and love it. It's going to be wonderful. They're only sold through dealers, so know that going in. greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com. Find a dealer near you. Visit that dealer. And you can visit that dealer, get educated, and then you'll have success right out of the bat. It's great. greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com. We will join Matt Overson when we come back. Stick around. We'll be right
You're
back.
listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Celebrating over 10 years of prolific and unparalleled live fire barbecue and grilling talk. And yes, it's still being done from Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Smithfield. Through the grilling season, which we are in the midst of right now, you can head on over to smithfield.com and get tips and tricks from pitmasters like Chris Lilly, Darren Worth, Ernest Cervantes, and Childs Cridland. With mouth-watering flavor, no artificial ingredients. Smithfield Fresh Pork, quite simply, some of the finest pork money can buy. A trusted choice of World Championship pitmasters for use in competitions and at home. If you are a committed cook, go to smokinwithsmithfield.com and report your first place finishes in ribs and shoulders. Once again, that's smokinwithsmithfield.com, or for recipes, tips, and tricks, smithfield.com. Coming out of the bullpen in an extended version, whether he knows it or not, is the 2019 SEA points champ, and at that time, no one had amassed and or accumulated as many points through a regular season as he did. He has a class on barbecue champs where he will spill his guts on how he cooks the steak, and will also throw in a wing recipe to boot. And on the most revered day of each and every year, July 10th, he landed the first ever perfect steak score in the SCA in Bondurant, Iowa. I probably said that wrong. Which, if you didn't know, perfect score in steak is 254.5. I'll talk to Mag about that here in a second. We race to the hotline and welcome first timer to the show, Matt Overson. Hey, Matt. Matt, are you there? Matt?
You there?
There you are.
Yeah.
You were on mute. How about you? Love it.
Yeah.
And now we have you. Welcome aboard here, Matt. Happy to have you.
Thanks.
Matt, this is nothing to do with you, of course, but how the hell is a perfect score in SEA not a whole number? 254.5 seems like you're at least a half a point shy of something whole. What's the deal with that?
There's 5 judges, and when you do the judging is 10.9 is what they would do. So you get a 10 in appearance, 10 in texture. You can put me on the spot here. 10.9 in doneness and 50 overall impression. So the 10.9 equals that 54.5.
All right. 254.5. So that's how you get your perfect score. Before we get into talking about that number, let's walk it back a little bit, Matt. Did you grow up in a home that was, real big live fire cooks, or what we would know as traditional barbecue, or do you find that later in life?
My family, they owned a meat market when I was growing up, so I grew up around, a cut meat market, and just loved cooking. We had everything to our expense.
Were they doing swinging meat or was it box at that point?
Swinging.
So were you ever thinking about pursuing a career in butchery or anything like that?
No, I actually had to clean all the rendering stuff out every night, so that kind of sucked.
Oh dear. Yeah, so that could turn you off. What do
Yeah.
you? When do you find out about barbecue competitions?
2009.
Oh, so you've been headlong into that since 2009, or have you had like you've been in it and then you get out of it, or how does that look?
No, I started in 2009. I did a contest I put on a contest, and then I met Darren from Smoky D's, and he helped me get the first contest up and going. And after that, I did that, and I was like, I'm cooking the next one. So the next year I cooked, and I was hooked. So
How did the schedule unfold for you? Were you a team that started out, slow and local-ish, or did you just, jump right into doing 20 plus during the course of a year?
I did like 4 or 5, and then I progressively got into more. It was a lot of money, of course, so I just whatever I could afford, and I eventually did 20, 25 a year.
Where are you home based out of right now?
I live in Norwalk, Iowa.
All right. And is cooking steaks and barbecuing your full-time job, or do you have a 9 to 5?
I work for the city where I live here in Norwalk. I'm only 5 minutes from the Des Moines airport, so I'm fairly close to Des Moines. We're just a little suburb. So
Now, when do you find out about steak cook-offs, and how does that attract you? How does the hook set there?
I was having a lot of fun in barbecue, but I was getting a little burnout on it. And there was a steak comp at a barbecue event that I went to, and I signed up, and I got third place there, and that was be 2016, I think it was, and I was hooked. I'm like, I'm done cooking barbecue. This is a lot more fun, and I mean, I left the barbecue scene. I still do the American Royal, and I'm getting a little bit more back into barbecue. Hog cooks. I was just in Memphis in May, helped out there, and I cooked some ancillaries. So getting back into more cooking.
When you looked back at why you left, you said you were getting burnt out, but were there, 2 or 3 specific things that you were not really digging on that made it an easy exit for you after you found the steak?
I did a lot of it by myself. I did have another guy come help me every once in a while, but I got up in the middle of the night and fired up the pit, and it was just kind of sucked after once in a while. I mean, I missed my whole weekend and my family, and I was kind of just like, I'm done. So,
Matt, I had your sister on a bit earlier in the year after she won the world title. How was that for you? Is it cool seeing your sister get such a huge award? I mean, obviously you want to get that ring, but outside of you, is she the person you would like to see win it?
yeah, it was very emotional for me. I mean, to see what she's done, and how I gave her a box of rubs and said, there you go. Just start working on some stuff, and she had some good teachers along the way, and we helped her out a lot. And then she took kind of the bull by the horns and went out and started at home and practice, and got there.
One of the things that I've talked about on the show as it relates to competition barbecue is, where is that next generation of competitive cook coming from? And there didn't really seem to be, other than one here or one there didn't seem to be a generation or a population that was going to be coming up to be that next wave. However, when you look at the SCA, there are a number of youngsters, and to me, that's 25 and under, that seem to have a passion for it. They seem to be really good at it. And I think when younger people see younger people or within their age demographic doing something, being successful at it, that only adds inspiration for people younger than them to want to give it a shot as well. How competitive are you two with each other?
We're real competitive. We did a thing on Barbecue Champs Academy, and it was brother against sister. We did it at the World Championship in the parking lot, just kind of a throwdown. And Mike Steele was on there, and he was like, "Come on, let's do it." And I said, "All right." I said I wasn't going to pull the grill out, but let's roll. So we did a live deal right there at the championship, and took about an hour and a half, 2 hours. We got some judges together and judged it. I tried something new that day, but she beat me. So,
would you normally try something new?
no, I had a new rub that I was trying out, and I just like threw it all together. So I wanted to see how it was going to roll.
Interesting. Always, I think when you look at competition barbecue, I think maybe that's where a lot of the hurdle has come up. Most competition barbecuers don't feel, maybe they want to be creative, maybe they want to take a risk like you are, but it's gotten so expensive now and there's so much at risk that nobody seems to want to venture out of where that winning flavor profile sets. And there seem to be so many teams that are able to cook that particular flavor profile well that there's a lot of the playing field isn't even, but it seems like if you're a judge, you're like, wow, did I just taste that? Wow, did I just taste that? Where I think if you were able to be rewarded to some degree for some type of out-of-the-box flavor profile, not offensive, of course, do you think that stymies the growth? And perhaps a follow-up question to that would be, do you think you have that leeway in the SEA, or do you have to conform to whatever's winning there as well?
I think there's a lot of flavor profiles out there that could win. And there's a lot of them in different parts of the country. Barbecue has that same kind of little realm of, got to use this down here, use that up there. Sometimes when you get a flavor, it works in a lot of places. What I use works in Oklahoma, Iowa, Minnesota, and just right through the Midwest and all the way to Texas. If I veer off and get over into Arkansas or somewhere out in that area, and sometimes I got to tweak some stuff. But otherwise, as long as you can cook a well-balanced steak, you can walk.
Matt Overson joining me here on the show. He's the pitmaster of Wicked Pig, and we're going to be talking about that perfect steak here in just a second. So let's go ahead and walk back to the weekend of July 10th. Once again, best day of the year, birthday. Magic happens. Matt, you go to the event. Is it Bondurant or Bodurant?
Bondurant.
Bondurant. And you cook a steak that receives perfect scores. So before we talk specifically on that, I guess you kind of explained how the scoring system works, but I mean, from a judge's standpoint, notwithstanding like the specific scores, when you turn in, like, what are the judges looking for?
Oh, of course they get the appearance. The steak gets cut before it gets to them, so they're only they're eating the spinalis. So when you put it in the box, the top of it is the judged portion. The bottom portion, they can eat that. So anything where that cut line is, they can eat below that. If you turn it in a box a little bit, so say if you want to turn it to 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock, you can determine your own cut line. And then when you put it in that box, that's how they cut it. So you determine your own fate. If you flipped it upside down, they would actually be eating the loin portion, and they'd be judging the top portion. So you kind of get the wrong way if you put it in the box wrong.
So you want to pay attention to that for sure, right?
Yeah, that gives you a good appearance. So if you have a bad fat spot that got burnt, say on your right hand side, if you want to turn your steak more to the 2 o'clock and even crank it in there to 3, as long as there's enough for 5 judges to eat on there, you can get away with having that cut line, that burnt fat below that cut line. So it actually gives you a better appearance.
When you were turning in the steak that gets the perfect score, was there anything that was standing out to you as that thing being exceptional or something that was going to be a record breaker at that point?
Just a normal everyday steak. I've cooked probably 200 and I think over 250 comps. So it was just another day. It's always looms in the back of your mind that, hey, it's out there. But that wasn't the day. I mean, I cooked a solid steak, and that's all I could do, and I was blessed to have a perfect score. So,
do you mind if we kind of walk through the process?
Yeah.
All right. So you go up to the, as I call it, the vaunted table of meat. And as we know, you have a chip and you do the snake draw. So if you're 2, you go second, and then you would go second to last when you go grab your second steak. So as you approach that table, what are you looking for specifically? I know your sister is real big on the try hard. I think Sandy Brown real big on the try hard as well. What do you like?
Yeah, I cook try hard. Just depends. Whether you're getting a choice steak or you're getting, um, like a Wagyu. There's all kinds of things to look for. In a Wagyu, I wouldn't pick a big try hard. I'd kind of go to the smaller tries, so probably the fifth or sixth steak in right before the spinalis. But if you got like a really shitty steak, that's a really choice or a no roll, pick that big try hard. It's gonna be a little more tender.
When you get it back to the booth or the trailer or whatever you have, how do you go about prepping it up? Do you trim a lot? Are you a tail on, a tail off? Do you round it out? What do you like to do?
I like to leave it look like a ribeye. I take the tail off there. Most people do. It's kind of like the tail of death if you leave it on there. I mean,
can it
if
help
it looks
you at
really
all?
good, I would never leave it on there. I've never left
Wow.
one on.
All right.
Never. I've seen a lot of people do it, and they do okay with them. I've seen people win with tail on. The first thing I do, I get back there, I put it in the cooler because they've been sitting on the table for half hour, 45 minutes, so they're kind of a little bit soft. So I like to put them in the cooler. They trim a little bit better, and then I like to shape them like a ribeye. I don't do the hockey puck thing as people say they are. I don't think that really matters as long as the steak looks good. Get it there and trim it up, tie it, marinade. Sits in the marinade for about 14 minutes. And then after that, get to seasoning and get ready to get my grill fired up. I mean, it's pretty quick. They only give you like an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, and that goes by, especially if you're bullshitting with your friends and having a few beers and lose track of time. So,
are you not a pinner?
I pin. Oh yeah, I think I might have invented the Frankenstein of pins.
What is that?
I use. They're just turkey lacers, is what they are. So they're a little stainless steel pin, and it just helps hold that steak together. And it helps the string from rolling up. When the steak cooks, this steak expands, and when it expands, if you don't have that string pinned, the string will roll, and it could actually cause your steak to cup. So I pin the crap out of it.
You had mentioned you put it in marinade for 14 minutes. Is that an exacting time? Like if you left it in for 20, it would denature the meat or change the flavor profile, or is that just a rough number?
I do 14 minutes, and that's what I tell everybody. I'm not secretive about that. I mean, I made the product, so that's what I do. I could leave it in there, 20, 25 minutes on like probably a steak that doesn't have any fat in it because it separates all fat from all protein, and it does it in a quick hurry. I mix it with beef consomme, and if you left it in the bag for an hour, there wouldn't be anything left of it. I'm just not saying it wouldn't be gone. It would just be a ball of fat and a ball of protein, and it would still be perfectly edible, but it would be really mushy.
How do you come up with a recipe that's so quick acting?
My dad's in the meat business, of course, and he has a room that's got all that product in it, and I developed it because that's the way I wanted a fast acting deal. There was no marinade out there on the market that was fast. I mean, most stuff was an hour, hour and a half, and I needed faster time. So,
are you trying to get flavor pushed in it, or salt, or both, or tenderize?
There's a little bit. There's a flavor pack in there, but it tenderizes fast. So, I like top sirloin at home, and I cube it up, and I put it in there for 45 minutes, and it's like eating a fillet.
Really?
So,
and this is currently available on the market. Is it like Matt's Magic Marinade, or?
It's the Wicked Pig. It's on Amazon. There's about 65 barbecue stores throughout the country that have it. Australia and New Zealand also stock it. So,
is this like a hot marinade on the SCA circuit too? I mean, you're fairly accomplished in winning and championships and all that other stuff, so I would imagine it's a lot of copycat.
I mean, everybody's. There's a lot of people using it. There's a few other marinades coming out on the market right now, but for the most part, I would say 80% of the SCA people are using it.
When you pull it out of the marinade, you rinse it off, or you just leave it be and then apply the rub and away you go?
Personal preference. I pat it dry and start applying my spices. Some people rinse it off. Like I said, it's personal to whoever wants to do it. If you leave it on there, it is a dark marinade, so if you leave it on there, it makes your steak a little darker. So if you're using a darker rubs, it tends to get way too dark.
What do you like to use for rubs?
Salt and pepper.
Keeping it simple. Smoke, meat, and fire, everybody. That's right. Grill that you run?
M16, Travis McGee out of Mesquite, Texas. I used a PK for a long time, and I met Travis, and I seen these grills, and I'm like, man, them things are sexy. I got to have one. And I tell you what, I've never looked back. He makes, bar none, best grill on the market.
Using grill grates on those as well? Is everybody using grill grates at this point?
Yeah, yep. And he integrates that M16, and then the grill grates are built into it. So when you buy the grill, the grates are already in there. So there's really no other grate in it. They're just the grill grates sit on there, and they run 4 of them in there, and I take one out so I get a little more airflow in my grill. So I just run 3 grates.
Do you use it at home otherwise, just for rando weekend cookings, or is that your competition cooker and you're not going to use it for anything else?
Most of the time it just sits in the back of the truck because I do cook pretty much every weekend, or I try. Back in 2019, I don't think that we even unloaded the truck. We might have unloaded it to clean it every once in a while, but it stayed loaded the whole time.
What kind of fuel are you using?
B&B charcoal.
Briquettes or lump briquette mix? Char log?
Briquettes. I used to use logs in the PK. They burn really hot, and the M16 is the way the stainless is on there. It does not take very much charcoal to fuel that thing up and keep it rolling. So I only use a Oklahoma Joe's charcoal chimney, and it's just about level full, and that's it. And it'll run. It's easy to maintain. I get them all hot, throw them in there. It takes about a minute and a half. I put the grates go on it, minute and a half, and I close the lid, and then they're 600 degrees.
Is that the temperature you're shooting for on the rail, 600 degrees?
Yeah, 600, 615. So that's about the norm. People do cook a little bit hotter. I just choose not to.
Hotter rail, obviously, is just going to get you a darker diamond pattern or cross pattern or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah, and that could also give you some char. If you want to have char flavored to your steak, a little bit of char is good, but too much is a little more overpowering, and the judges don't like that.
Can it run away from you, though? I mean, I found, this has nothing to do with steak, but I found when I'm running the pizza oven on the Green Mountain Grill, if I creep it up into the oven temperature of 900 degrees or more, if it starts to go bad, that's it. Quickly, in 10 seconds, it goes from bad to fucked. Similar in steak, where if you're getting some char, it's good, but it can quickly multiply into bad char.
Yeah, so I mean, depends on what you're using for rubs. So if you were using a sugar-based rub or salt-based, so salt, sugar-based would burn. So the hotter them rails, you put all that sugar-based rub on there, and you stick it to there, and a minute and a half. I mean, on each side, it's gonna char them lines, and they're already burnt. And
is that
there's a lot of people that come up and be, hey, taste my steak, and I'll personally tell them, hey, there's too much char on there. I mean, some char is good, but the burnt is not.
Is the flip schedule that you were just talking about, that minute and a half, is that where you're making your turns at?
I run 45-second turns. So I run 45, 45, 45, 45, and I'm up on the rack. I should be another 4 minutes, and I'm off.
Do you shoot for a specific internal temperature, or are you going by feel?
An internal temperature. I'm not going to disclose that, but it's perfect medium is what we're looking for.
That's right.
There's a lot of people that are. It's hard for them to achieve that number. There's a lot of rise in your steak when you take it off. I mean, it's kind of a science, and there's a lot of people have it figured out, but some don't.
So what are you taking into account, when you see the steak? I mean, you've done it enough. Obviously, you're on the other side of not knowing, and But is it thickness? Is there wind calculation outside? Is it the amount of charcoal that you're using? Is it the temperature of where the grill grate starts? I mean, how many different things are you taking into account to end up getting so you don't rise above?
Humidity would be a big one. Humidity would give you a big rise, and your steak cooks a lot faster, so that you got to be really careful. I check my steak on the third turn. Sometimes it's pretty close to done. I mean, I need to make sure I can make it through that fourth turn before it. I don't want to overshoot it, because once you're over, you're done. I mean, I'd rather turn in under than over all day of the week. So
if you're running fast on the third turn, do you take the steak off and then choke the cooker down to bring the temp down, or will you just not cook as long on the fourth turn then, or what?
yeah, I just won't cook as long on the fourth turn. If it hits that number, I'll take it off and put it on the table. It should go up about 5 or 6 degrees, and it's ready. I keep a little ThermoWorks dot in there. Not the whole time it's cooking. I use just a regular Thermopin when it's on the grill. When it comes off, I use a needle probe dot, and it stays in there, and I can just watch it. And it'll go up 5 degrees in a matter of a minute.
When you take it off, you go in. Are you reseasoning it at that point? I mean, obviously you can't taste it, but like, what are your finishing processes before you close that box up and end up running into the table?
I do a butter glaze, and then I do a dust.
How shocked were you that the steak you turned in July 10th ends up getting that perfect score? In other words, for as many times as you've turned in steak, as you said, 250 comps or whatever it is, did you ever think that this is the one that is going to bring the rain?
No, I mean, when you hit a home run. I've had some home run steaks, and
that's a home run steak
there
right
was
there,
just
by the way. How about that? That's what a perfect steak looks like, in case you were wondering.
So, I mean, you just know. I mean, but you never think. It's never happened. So you're like, there's not going to be a perfect score today. We've always said that this perfect score is either going to come out of Iowa or Florida, because we have really consistent judging here in the Midwest and in Florida. So predominantly, Texas, Oklahoma, and other places, they just judge a little low. But you can still win with a low score. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as high, in those areas.
First thoughts when you're called? I mean, obviously you win, but then to realize you've made the first perfect score in SCA, what does that mean to you?
Oh boy, winning a ring and doing all that stuff was pretty exhilarating for me, and real emotional. But winning a perfect score was like, wow. I mean, I don't know how many comps there's been. Probably 4,000, I would say.
Yeah.
7 years of SCA, and it's never been done. So I feel really fortunate. I had my grandmother there, and my grandmother's 92, so she's never been to a state comp. It's 20 minutes from my house, so for me to pull that off in front of her, and her get to come for the first time and see that, it was pretty awesome.
Do you get a lot of media attention off of that? I mean, obviously, I'm sure a lot of the top pitmasters in SCA are reaching out to you with congratulations. But like, what's the most unexpected thing that came out of this, aside from being on this show?
Back in 2019, I wondered what was going to come next. It all comes later. It doesn't come like the next day, or it just comes later. I mean, I have my own sponsors, and I pick and choose who I want, to be with. But a lot of grill companies come to you, a lot of charcoal companies, people like that. And I just, like I said, I have who I have, and that's who I'm sticking with. So,
who do you want to plug tonight before I let you go? And I appreciate all the insight and information you've given out tonight. Who do you use? Who do you recommend? Any of your own stuff?
My boys from Boar's Night Out, White Lightning, Eric and Alan, they believed in me when nobody believed in me, and they were my first rub sponsor, and we are best friends and family, and I want to thank those guys. for everything. They helped me out a lot. B&B Charcoal, Travis McGee from M16, M Grills, does an amazing job. Gunther Willem Knives, those guys are great. Be Extreme, Jerry Rowan, buddy of mine, he has some great rubs out there too. So,
and of course, your marinade, which you can get on Amazon.
Yep, Amazon or Barbecue Superstore, Barbecue Pro Shop. Any big barbecue stores, or if you got a barbecue store near you and you don't have it, and ask for it, they can get a hold of me.
Where are you at next?
I cook in Ottumwa, Iowa. I got another close one about an hour away from my house this weekend. So we're going to go roll down there. With the new point system, it makes it easier to stick around home a little bit. So
Matt Overson is the first person to cook a perfect steak in SCA in 7 years of its existence. 254.5 is that score, and he attained it on July 10th. A no better day to do that, by the way. So, Matt, we say congratulations once again here from the show. Continued success, and we will talk to you again soon, pal.
All right, thank you.
You got it. There he is, Matt Overson, right there. 2019 points champ, most accumulated points that year, now adding perfect steak score to his docket. Very accomplished. By the way, if you want to step up the barbecue and grilling game, or at least the grilling game, Barbecue Champs, he had referenced that a couple different times. I think it's bbqchamps.com, and you can find, actually in the newsletter, I think I linked to the Barbecue Champs. Nothing related to me. I was just linking you over there so you can find out more about Matt. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can go to Barbecue Champs and check out his class and all that fun stuff. All right, let me talk to you quickly about Vortic Watch, a small batch custom watch manufacturing company restoring vintage pocket watches located in northern Colorado. They take antique American pocket watches, turn them into wrist watches. Their mission, preserve and enhance the legacy of manufacturing in America. That's right. In order to do that, they combine traditional and cutting-edge technology to produce unique quality, functional timepieces with exceptional value. Here's the coolest part. Each watch that Vortic makes is unique and one of a kind, just like this one right here. Founded on the motto that America wasn't assembled, it was built. Check out vorticwatch.com and buy one for yourself, or take your own pocket watch that your grandfather or great-grandfather left you and send it into them and get it converted into a wristwatch, something that you'll use. It's just sitting in your sock drawer for now, for crying out loud. Use that thing. All right, let's wrap up the show. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Matt Overson for joining me last segment. Going in depth on his steak process, 99%. Didn't talk about temperatures, finishing, didn't talk about rubs, but other than that, he was an open book. You can find his stuff over on Amazon under Wicked Pig Marinade. 14 minutes. I got to try some. I'll be heading to the Amazon after the show. Grab me up a bottle or two. I like tender steak. Why not give it a whirl? All right, let's wrap it up. All the way back in the first hour, we talked with Stephen Reichlin, barbecuebible.com. I'll be trying his method of eating Maryland crab out when we get on holiday, as they say. Then, Bill Oakley reappeared on the show and did a tremendous job breaking down the fast food scene in general. Chicken nuggets could be a new war, but Bill would rather see a war break out over onion rings because there's just not a lot of onion ring offerings, just BK, really. Second hour, Jess Pryles. Oh, so close. We'll try and reconnect her at some point down the road. And we ended the show with Matt Overson, the 2019 SCA points champ, ring winner, and the first person to get a perfect score at an SCA event 7 years. That was done on July 10th this year with a 254.5. You You can visit Matt over at the Barbecue Champs Academy, barbecuechamps.com, I think, or Barbecue Champs Academy. Just search Matt Overson, Ouverson, and it'll take you over there. It's like the first return you get. Big show planned for you next week. You know what next week is? It's the finals of the American Idol Barbecue Central Show edition. The duet is in the can. I've heard it. Mastered by friend of show, Haniel Trisna, the official DJ and sound guy of the Barbecue Central Show. John Solberg and I will be singing for your votes live on the show next week. We also will have Derek Riches, amongst others, so stay tuned for that. September 11th, 2001, I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
Bobby Rempe from Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to Barbecue Central.